up, Tzu Chi holds its final relief distribution in San Jose Elementary of Tacloban, the Philippines. Tzu Chi set up a Cash for Work program to help flood victims across 4 states in Malaysia. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Wendy Chen. Thank you for joining us. We kick off today's program in the Philippines, where Tzu Chi's final relief distribution in Tacloban City was held at San Jose Elementary School on December 18th. To make sure the consolation cash is delivered into the hands of the recipients, Metro Bank mobilized a security van to help the volunteers transport the money to the distribution venue. In total, 1,822 households received Tzu Chi's help.
As the security van arrives at the hotel, soldiers are on standby to safeguard the volunteers. In no time, the volunteers load 10 boxes packed with consolation cash into the truck.
Tzu Chi has done many good deeds around this area, and the local bank is very supportive. That's why an armored van was mobilized to help us deliver the consolation cash.
Driving along the streets in Tacloban City, very soon the armored van arrives at the San Jose Elementary School. As the field is very muddy, the security van soon gets stuck in the mud. Thankfully, with the help of local residents, the truck gets free of the mud. Knowing that the consolation cash can bring hope to recipients, Tzu Chi volunteers have been extra careful when labeling the boxes.
Please don't look at the other markings on the boxes. Look at the blue marks. This is 1 and that is 2.
I'm very happy. This money can help my family and other disaster survivors in Tacloban City.
Also helping out at Tzu Chi's last aid distribution in Tacloban are Marikina Tzu Chi volunteers.
I will go home and share my experiences with my friends. We need to treat our environment and everyone with a compassionate heart.
Other than holding a distribution, volunteers also led the recipients in prayer.
Please shout out your passion. Thank you all very much. We are showing everyone that all of us have a compassionate heart.
Touched by Tzu Chi's spirit, many local residents happily donated their love to express their gratitude to the Buddhist NGO.
To extend help to the Typhoon Haiyan survivors, Tzu Chi volunteers traveled to Palo town of Leyte province to gain a better understanding of local residents' needs. During their visits, volunteers met Rosale Cajindo, who has struggled to pay for her husband's funeral.
Driving from Leyte province to Tacloban, in 40 minutes, the volunteers arrive at Palo town. Walking along the streets in Palo town, volunteers encountered disaster survivor Antonio Pasaco.
因为水太高了，所以他就一直爬上去了，就抱着那棵树啊，也都没什么，就那一棵树啊，就那一棵啊，就那一棵，他爬，那个大树上面。
47-year-old Rosale Cahindo's husband passed away due to typhoon injuries on December 15th. To raise funds for her husband's funeral, Rosale has invited her neighbors to come and gamble outside of her house.
因为菲律宾人就有一种习惯呢。
This is a custom in the Philippines. When a family can't afford to pay for the funeral, they will invite neighbors to come and gamble at their house. The government allows people to gamble publicly in this kind of situation.
邻居这个部分是政府会允许的。
Without the means to pay for her husband's funeral and rebuild her home, gambling has become the only way for these families to generate income. In the aftermath of Super Typhoon Haiyan, the U.S. government has provided survivors in this village with plastic sheets and corrugated iron sheets. However,
look at the top of this house. The roof is gone. This family can only use canvas and corrugated iron sheets to prevent rainwater from coming in.
To better help those devastated by the disaster, other than conducting a disaster assessment, the volunteers also visited local officials. Visiting Tanauan town of Lake Province for the first time, Tzu Chi volunteer Chai Shenghang hopes to gain a better understanding of the local government's rebuilding efforts in the area. After a month of hard work, hosts have appeared in Tsai's uniform. However, he knows that his priority is to help the disaster survivors return their lives to normal as quickly as possible.
As numerous houses were destroyed by Typhoon Haiyan in the Philippines, especially those built by the seashore, the Tacloban City Council recently passed a new law that prohibits the construction of housing within 40 meters of the coastline. Currently, the local government is working around the clock to build 1,200 prefab houses to shelter the disaster survivors.
Wooden houses built by the coast were all left in ruins.
One of the reasons why Typhoon Haiyan caused such massive property loss is because most residents built their houses near the shoreline. Thus, on December 11th, Tacloban City's council announced a new law stating that no houses can be built within 40 meters of the coast.
The enactment of the new law will affect the lives of 7,000 residents. Nonetheless, several disaster survivors are still busy rebuilding their homes.
Government officials are already planning the rebuilding. We're waiting for the information. This is just a temporary shelter.
Currently, many local residents are living in makeshift homes and waiting for further information from the government.
The government said they will build houses for us. Thus, we are here waiting for the notice telling us when to move.
Tacloban city government hopes to complete 1,200 prefabricated homes to accommodate the disaster survivors. As one can see through these aerial shots, the construction is proceeding at full throttle. A prefab house is around 9 square meters. 48 families shared 8 bathrooms. However, not everyone can move into the public housing.
We will be prioritizing those who have senior citizens, those with people with disabilities, the pregnant women, and those with infants.
Although a generous offer, these prefabs will only be available for 1 year because of the unsustainable building material and the following reason.
The materials for the bank shelter can last longer than 1 year, but because we are just renting the land where the bank houses are built, so we're really giving ourselves only up to 1 year.
Based on our current progress, we can complete 24 houses in 15 days.
The government originally planned to complete the 1,200 prefab on December 22nd. However, due to delays, the houses will not be completed until January.
In our next report, we meet 2 young Filipino-Chinese Tzu Chi volunteers, both in their early 30s, who joined the disaster relief mission in areas devastated by Typhoon Haiyan. Fluent in English, Chinese, and Filipino, both Huang Jiefang and Si Yazhu play an important role at the relief work. Let's find out why.
We go back to December 8th, the last day of Tzu Chi's Cash for Work program in the Philippines. A petite figure, Huang Jiefang, is full of vitality, and this is how she encourages the disaster survivors. Disaster survivors need this to remember Tzu Chi by.
Many residents ask us for the translations to the lyrics of We Are One Family, prayer and love and care for all.
And this is what residents need to stay in touch.
Wow, thank you. For volunteer? Thank you. Volunteer. Ito naman natin sa number, ma'am.
Some residents were worried they won't be able to reach us, as some of the areas are still without power and their cell phones often run flat. But since we have their address, it should be okay.
Interacting with disaster survivors using her warmth and kindness, Huang Jiefang has been in and out of the disaster area for the past month. From Tzu Chi's Cash for Work program to the large-scale aid distribution, Huang is always seen ready to shoulder any task. But what the cameras do not capture is the wisps of white hair hidden beneath her cap.
Although I sympathize with them, I am also moved by their courage. The affinity between these disaster survivors and Tzu Chi has already been formed.
Also, Filipino-Chinese 31-year-old Shi Yazhu originally worked for a real estate company with good pay.
When she wanted to work at the Tzu Chi Religious Affairs Department in Hualien, I remember her boss wouldn't let her go and tried to talk her out of it for 5 hours.
跟他谈话谈了5小时，就是不放人。
Returning to her own country as a staff member of the Tzu Chi Foundation, she undertook the coordination of this relief mission.
I'm calling out their names. The queue is getting a bit disorderly and chaotic, and some of them don't know where to go, so I'm calling them out one by one.
When she at first arrived in Hualien, she had a very fair complexion. During this trip to the Philippines, she is often in the sun, running around. Part of her face is now sunburned and tanned, but I really admire her stepping up to carry out her responsibilities.
For both Huang Jiefang and Shi Yazhu, they clearly know what their lifetime mission will be.
Over the past few weeks, city volunteers and the DaAi TV news team have captured endless footage on Typhoon Haiyan's immense destruction and Tzu Chi's relief efforts in the disaster areas. As many areas were without power, DaAi TV news reporters struggled to upload their reports and images. Thankfully, with the help of a local telecommunications company, a new fiber optic line was installed, making it possible for Tzu Chi's relief efforts to be broadcast worldwide.
Thanks to the fiber optic line, for the first time ever in Tzu Chi's disaster relief history, DaAi TV reporters are now able to send back high-definition footage of their relief work. However, installing the fiber optic line is an almost impossible task amidst the disaster grounds of Tacloban City.
There was damage in the area, and that was why it was affecting the transmission, because even the power was down. There were many things that were not working in Tacloban after the typhoon.
Nevertheless, after learning that the fiber optic line's purpose is to share disaster relief efforts with the world, PLDT's president agrees in a heartbeat.
Because Master wanted to follow the events in Tacloban, I think that's what Master wanted, that she could be present also by following what was happening, so she can lead everybody in Tzu Chi.
With the fiber optic line's 40 megabytes upload speed and 10 megabytes download speed, DaAi TV reporters are now able to successfully share their stories and broadcast numerous events live. Combining compassion and technology, Tzu Chi volunteers' love and care for disaster survivors can at last spread to all corners of the world.
Moving to Malaysia, 4 states across the nation have suffered from severe flooding since the end of November, forcing 40,000 residents to evacuate to temporary shelters. Tzu Chi volunteers have over the past few weeks carried out relief work and at the same time set up a cash for work program to help residents clean up their homes and speed up the recovery process. Let's take a look.
The sun has not risen, but Penang Tzu Chi volunteers are already up and about, moving boxes of aid supplies onto a bus, hoping these items will arrive at the disaster zone before noon.
There are over 5,000 disaster victims on the East Coast, so we are taking this opportunity to send daily necessities and food to them.
On this day, Tzu Chi volunteers have enacted a cash for work program to help residents clean up their environment. Residents are doing their best to return their streets to normal.
This Cash for Work program not only gives them financial support, but it also helps us to recruit more bodhisattvas, and in the same breath, they can get to know Tzu Chi.
Besides handing out relief items and consolation cash, 3 buses full of volunteers are here to participate in the Cash for Work program. It really touches me that Tzu Chi asked me to find residents to participate in this program.
One Cash for Work participant even took time off from work to join the program because Tzu Chi had previously helped his mother clean up her yard.
I'm very privileged that volunteers came to help my mother. I'm also very happy that I can help those in my community as well. I enjoy working with the volunteers. It wouldn't matter if it wasn't for a Cash for Work program. I just want to give back to Tzu Chi for assisting us.
The path to recovery is long. However, with Tzu Chi volunteers by their side, the survivors have confidence concerning the road ahead. Disaster survivor Zarima joined volunteers on a recent relief distribution, leading the way and caring for her fellow citizens.
It's difficult to see your neighbors so sad, so even if I'm unable to help much, doing a little can make a difference.
A bus filled with volunteers arrive at Sungai Ispa Kotan as everyone hopes to bring comfort during this distressing time.
By visiting them, I hope to get closer to them as I can personally ask after them to see how they are. If they are cleaning up their homes, I can offer to help too.
On October 31st, I participated in the 4-day entrepreneur training seminar in Hualien. Since then, I felt the need to do more, to participate in more events and ease people's suffering.
A CEO of a technology company in Penang also joined the volunteers.
Okay, thank you so much.
I didn't grow up in a rich family. I've always felt it was wonderful to receive help from others, and to now be able to be on the giving end of that, I feel even more blessed.
No matter if it is those being helped or those helping others, the seeds of compassion have been planted in each heart, easing the suffering and putting smiles back on faces.
Xu Yongmo from Taidong, Taiwan was diagnosed with cancer a decade ago, and not only was he devastated by the news, but he was also worried for the future of his wife and children. Luckily, it was then that the volunteers from the cancer care unit at the Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital showed up to support the family through their most difficult time.
I was driving from Hualien back to Chulu, and throughout the 4.5-hour journey, I kept thinking whether I will die like that or not.
Thinking back to the day when he was first diagnosed with nasopharyngeal cancer, Xu Yongmo says he was heartbroken at the time.
At that time, my mind was elsewhere. I only thought that my kids were still so little and wondered if I will make it through.
Following his chemotherapy and electrotherapy, Xu was unable to work.
As soon as the kids open their eyes, money is spent taking care of them. There are rent, insurance, and car fees to pay. And what will we do if we don't have money?
It's a big family. Now that they don't have an income and are only working odd jobs, we are bringing them some nutritious food for the children.
Caring for patients and their families like their own, the cancer care unit at the Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital regularly visits Xu's family with nutritious food and supplies.
I am really happy that the sisters are coming because she really cares for us and treats us so well. She always brings us delicious and healthy food.
I bought some 30 bottles of milk. Whenever they are hungry, they can drink it right away.
Xu's wife, Wu Yanhui, treats the volunteers to a home-cooked meal. Sitting down to enjoy lunch like a family, volunteers, unlike doctors, provide doses of love and companionship.
If I didn't come here, I wouldn't have met Sister Xie because I was originally going to a hospital in Taipei. You see, from not knowing one another, we are like brother and sister now.
Following his treatment, she can now only stay home and help take care of his children. With the financial burden falling on his wife's shoulder, she has had to work odd jobs to make ends meet.
After I became ill, I couldn't work, and it has created a financial burden on my family. I thought about this before I received my treatment. I didn't know what to do, but luckily, Sister Xie showed up.
After her husband became ill, she made handicrafts to support the family, and I helped her sell them.
In the decade that followed, the continuous care and love of these volunteers gave this family the strength to go on.
Sister Xie often tells me to let her know if I need any help and that she will take care of it for me. I told her I'm doing fine now. As long as she is around, our family will be alright.
Over the past month, city volunteers worldwide have poured in their love to help Typhoon Haiyan survivors get back on their feet. At the 2 aid distributions held in Sakahan and the late Progressive High School, we see how these recipients were deeply moved by the selfless dedication of our volunteers.
This is the scene at the Tzu aid distribution held at Tacloban, Sakahan.
Alam niyo po, ang kumot na ito, marami na pong natulungan. Sabi ni Master. Sabi ko,
During the distribution, recipients happily sit on chairs to receive Tzuji's aid. Tzuji volunteers treat the Haiyan survivors with respect. For many disaster survivors, Super Typhoon Haiyan is a nightmare that still haunts them. Although now without a roof over their heads, this family is thankful that everyone is safe. Meanwhile, Tzuji's aid distribution at Late Progressive High School is filled with laughter and cheers.
My grandson is 13 years old, and yesterday was his birthday. I am very thankful that Tzu is here to help us. I hope to see all of you more often.
Tzu volunteers hand out relief items. Recipients donate their love.
I have saved up some spare change inside a plastic bottle. It's not much, but at least I can contribute my share. I want to thank Tzu and Master Zhen Yan.
With Tzuji's relief items in hands, many recipients go home with a positive attitude. Starting from today, these disaster survivors are ready to embrace a new chapter in their lives.
We go to the United States at the end of today's show. Since Typhoon Haiyan wreaked havoc in the Philippines, Tzu volunteers all around the nation have mobilized to raise funds. Recently, a music concert was held in Long Island, while students at the Dallas DaAi Kindergarten and Las Vegas Tzu Academy organized a fundraising campaign. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for tuning in. Goodbye.